Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel, Smishek Custom Baits, Rick Smishek here. Today we're going to be, just like the title says, we're going to be milking the cow. I need practice of that, so I just thought I'd show you how we're going to do that. Pardon me. Also show you the molds we're going to be using. We'll kind of do a mold review at the same time. Since milking the cow works best with a straight bait that's symmetrical on all sides, I'm going to be using our stick baits, or two of them, 4 and 5 inch, and we'll just see how that comes out. It'll give me an idea of just how close I am to getting the technique down. A whole lot better than it would if I was using like the swim bait mold, bloodline swim bait. Because with that huge belly, there's nothing symmetrical about that bait at all. So yeah, we're just gonna be using just the straight bait today for our practice session, and we'll see how these things come out. I'm gonna go ahead and move the camera on over and show you guys the molds. All right, so here's the stick molds, and these are from Baitjunkys. Okay, Baitjunkys no longer sells their molds on their own website. Their molds are all sold through LureWorks, and they're probably just slightly more expensive that way. But you know, I'd gladly pay a little bit more for these molds, or would have, because these molds work great. If you want a mold that shoots right every time, as long as you're doing your part, I mean, you make sure you get your plastic all the right temperatures, shoot it not super fast, but just shoot at normal speed, hold your pressure at the end, make sure your sprues stay topped off. As long as you do your part, and that's something. These things that I just mentioned are all things that we do with all of our molds, so it's not really anything different. That's just part of how you do this stuff. As long as you do that, these molds shoot fantastic. The only defects I've ever had is when I didn't do my part. Okay, but this is the 5 cavity, or 5 cavity. It is a 5 cavity mold, but it's the 5 inch stick. I call them twigs. But you see all the vent lines everywhere. Okay, these things, they just don't dent. All right, because all these vent lines here, there's plenty of room for the air to escape. And if you want to make a different color tail and you're cutting them off, well, there's plenty of options for how big you want that tail to be. Okay, your best bet is to cut the tail just after a vent line. That way, any air pockets that are down here initially will get pushed out one side or the other into the and the air will escape, and you'll end up with a full bait instead of a dented bait. But that's hugely helpful in that. So you gives you a lot more options in that department. That's pretty basic. These molds are pretty basic. That's the 5 inch. I have 2 of those. This is the 4 inch. Okay, it's another 5 cavity mold. Really, the only difference is that the baits are little. They're not quite as big around, and they're an inch shorter. Okay, but we have plenty of venting again in all of them. All right. I have shot other people's stick bait molds, and I think these ones are the most reliable. So I'll go ahead and get these clamped together. I'll finish heating up the plastisol, and we'll start shooting some molds. See what we can do. All right, here we go. We got our plastisol ready. The injectors prepped. I took the connecting bar off. We have the glove on too. And when we do this, I stand the injector up like this on here. What I'll be doing is I'll be hitting each one of these like this. Okay. And I think that's why they call it the milking the cow deal, right? But let's give this a shot. Let's see how we're doing here. I'm using the Fire Craw that I had left over. I have like 4 cups of the stuff. Okay. There we go. Injectors are full. And here's our first one. That first mold's full. I'm going to go ahead and go to the other 5-inch first. Okay, let's do this again. It's going to be interesting to see how these come out. Okay, that's full. Okay. Top off this other screw. A little bit there. Okay, there we go. Let's do the 4-inch. Same thing here. A little bit. That one's full already. Okay. Last one here. All right. And that one's full. Okay. Top off our screws a little bit. Actually, quite a bit here. All right. Evacuate the plastisol. All right, and then we'll just give it a minute before we open them up. All right, let's see how these things came out, shall we? Go ahead and open up both 5-inch first. Get out for there. Well, here we go. Let's check this out. Maybe these 2 colors aren't real great for milking the cow. But we do get kind of a swirl effect there. The colors are mixed. They're not all one, which is kind of cool in itself. Well, let's check out the rest of them. Let's see if the rest of them did any better. Whenever you're doing stuff like this, you really want colors that contrast with each other to get the best effects. And these don't contrast real great, but it is plastisol that I had left over. It's easy to. Now look at this. That almost laminated. Practically, it's all right. Now this one here's a little. You can see this one. This bait here is a little bit it's mixed more, which is pretty cool. I actually like this effect here, where it's not so much where it looks like a laminate, but where it looks more like the colors are mixed. They blend together a little bit. It's more like a natural bait fish, I think, which this isn't actually so bad. You can see these here where it's mixed like that. One color that might do this milking the cow technique a lot better is the black and blue laminate that I use. The black and the blue really, neither color overpowers the other one, and they stand out really well. Whereas with this, they kind of blend together. But you see this one here, you can see like down in here, it's not just one solid color, one color or the other. But you get that effect in various places throughout the bait, and that's pretty cool, I think. Here's another one that's we're getting that same kind of effect in places. So yeah, I'm doing the technique right. It's just that these colors aren't mixing quite like we thought they would, or showing up quite like we thought they would, because, well, we're probably using the wrong colors for this. But you see this here? I still like this effect. I like this effect a lot, honestly. Even though it's not that real standout, stab you in the eye kind of color thing, where it's like, oh my gosh, look at me. There you go. See, look at this. This one's almost a laminate. I don't know why that is. Why some of them are, some of them aren't. That's kind of different. But this one here has a little bit of that effect. But yeah, I think we're getting there. I think I'm getting there. Next time I'll use a different color combination, and we'll see what happens with that. Oh, now this one, when I first started to pull this one out of the mold, you can see that this one mixed a little better. Oh, look at that. Dun, dun. Oh, and that. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, well, I didn't get that one full, huh? See, now that's my fault. That's the only defects there, and I didn't make sure that I got the mold full. Oh, but this here, look at that. These are actually coming out. The three that filled actually didn't turn out too bad as far as that milking the cow goes. All right, so there we go. So, but the only defects I had out of the 4 shots was my fault. All right, so today we got to see a couple of colors milking the cow that didn't really give us the effect we're looking for. Not totally. I mean, it's a little bit, but not totally. It's not that sharp contrast that say a black and a green might be, a bright green, or like our black and blue laminate, like that might be. But we did get some of that effect in there. It's just harder to see in some places. And I got a question about salt. About what was I mentioned that I changed the salt that I used. Well, the salt that I was using, I just went over to Tractor Supply and bought a 50-pound bag of feed salt. Okay, figured I could just, if the grains were too big, that I could just use, like, say, a coffee grinder and grind them up. Well, they were too big, and I did use a coffee grinder. I bought a $10 one, I think at $9.99, I think it was, over at Target. And the first time I used it, it burned it up. So I went back over to Target and got a $30 one. And that one I still have, it still works. But that one, it ground the flour up too fine, or ground the salt up too fine. It was light flour. Okay, it was that fine. And that was, when I used that, the more I used, the more it washed out the colors. Okay, if I didn't grind it up, it was the chunks were too big and too heavy, and they sank to the bottom too fast. So it was hard to keep the stuff suspended in the plastic, so I had to keep stirring it constantly. But then I read about, in a Facebook group, I read about I read a question on this, and several guys said to use a fine flake salt. It would alleviate, one, the sinking too fast, the suspension issue. It still sinks, it just doesn't sink as fast. It stays suspended longer. And two, it doesn't wash out the colors. I'm not sure why, but it just doesn't. Okay. This one, these colors here, these have the salt in them, you can't even tell. You know. But the other stuff I was using, some of the colors, like watermelon, it washed it out so bad it's not even funny. I would, when it first started happening, I was like, what the heck is wrong? Well, dummy. Okay, you changed your salt. Look at what you just changed. Well, so I started trying to add more coloring to make up for it. Well, that only helped to a point. And then once I found out about the fine flake salt, well, the companies that sell supplies for, like, colorants and whatnot, they also sell salt, but it's just ridiculously expensive there, and compared to what I just did. Even I just bought a bag off of a 50-pound bag off of Walmart.com, delivered for $66. A 10-pound bucket from one place with shipping was $90. I was like, wait a minute, okay, that's just way too expensive. If I can figure out how to find places, and that's my Google food is just, some days it's just not there. If I can figure out, like, someplace locally where I can just go and pick it up, heck yeah, that'd be so cheap then. The fine flake stuff is usually around $30 to $35 for a 5-pound or for a 50-pound bag. Most places you see it, and then they add shipping onto that, and it's the shipping that kills you. I'd gladly go drive and pick it up if I can figure out where to pick it up at here in Denver. But I'll get there. I'll figure it out. I just have so many projects going right now that it's. I don't even want to add another one to my list, but yet there it is. All right. So that said, if you guys liked what you saw today, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, and hit the little bell so you get notifications when I put up a new video. And share. Hit the share button. Share with everybody. Share with your friends, your frenemies, your enemies, your relatives, co-workers. That helps the channel grow, and at least until the face or the YouTube algorithm takes over and starts, and everybody starts seeing your sidebar, you know. But also go watch the subscriber contest. That'll be that link will be in that video link will be in the description. And if you want a shot at winning that stuff, I think yesterday I think it was said 225 subscribers. I didn't look at it this morning. But once we get to 250, if you want a shot at winning that stuff, which is a rod cover, 2 bags of our chingalingus and whatever bait you want, whether it's sticks or frogs or whatever, and then also you'll get to design your own color. So yeah, if you want a shot at win that stuff, go watch the video, hit share, and mention and put in the comments that you shared the video, because we're just do a random thing, and anybody who puts share in the comments, anybody who puts shared, that's how we're going to pick. That's how we're going to pick the winner. So until next time, folks, tight lines and calm waters.